Not every Alaska hunt starts off with abandonment. Just the good ones. And like most hunters, we had certain goals to accomplish and a short window to make it happen. My company had plans to produce a wilderness taxidermy video, so my job was to design the adventure and collect a video journal of our experience. An adventure that would test our grit and strengthen our appreciation for all things wild. Well, we finished our portage and now we are completely sweated out of our first batch of clothes, so quick change and then it's time for portage. Number 2. Which is right down that creek. About a mile to the main channel. Not too fun, but necessary. After all, what's a wilderness taxidermy video without epic scale? You know what I'm saying?
Larry and I have been adventure partners for many years now. We've done a lot of trips together. Fishing and hunting they've always been exciting. If my wife knew some of the things Larry and I had done, I wouldn't be going on these trips. And to be perfectly honest, I can't believe we're still alive. But when he laid out the concept of a taxidermy project, I was really excited about it, and there was no way he was doing this trip without me. In fact, not only did I expect this adventure to be physically demanding, I lost sleep, anticipating. Yeah, I was up for the challenge, but I should have known something was up when he told me to pack light.
You look a little tired there, Holmes. Huh? You look a little tired. See the bluff, it's downstream, and our goal is to make it before dark because the bears are after us. Float Dragon Alaska, baby! Woo-hoo! Float Dragon Alaska.
What year is it? Who's the president? What's my name?
Where are we? You know, access to Alaska's remote back 40 has only ruined our taste for mainstream adventure. And we've learned the limits of her fragile bounties, so our goal was to collect more memories of Alaska than monumental horns and fur. So peaceful, even though I'm tired. The sound of that river is awesome. Day 1 was pretty rigorous. Don't get me wrong though, we were there to harvest some animals and that's what we were going to do, but only when opportunity presents. So by day 2, it was time to hunt. And as luck would have it, we were seeing plenty of animals, just the wrong ones. Well, we woke up to a slightly different picture than we went to bed with, and no bear sign. So we're going to move down through the canyon a bit and hopefully find a drainage that offers a little better opportunity for animal sightings. Although we did see several animals, are just nothing to our liking, so we're going to try it again in a different area. And we woke up this morning to a pretty stiff overcast and cooler temperatures. Ceiling's about 1,000, maybe 1,500 feet, so it's going to be a much cooler day, less sunlight, but we'll be able to put on a little more clothing and enjoy the temperatures a little more in the ambient sense. So we'll get finished packing up here and move downstream and see what we can find as far as animal density.
Paddle harder.
Crossing that shale now. Well, we just spotted that bear, as you can tell, so we're gonna change into our hiking boots and pursue it right quick to see if we can get a shot. So let's go up in elevation and see what we can find out.
By the afternoon of day 3, with no sign of bear on the river, I started having questions of whether we'd see bear or much less have a chance at all. Needless to say, we were both excited when we spotted that bear less than a mile off river. The timing was perfect, so we made our plans and left the river. Float hunting to me presents a whole different set of personal challenges because timing remains the most critical element to a hunter's success. With that in mind, luck takes on a whole new meaning.
Good shot.
Didn't even move.
Good shot, Mark. That was textbook. Man, way to go, buddy.
He didn't even move.
He rolled over.
I'll never forget that day and the events that led up to that hunt.
Bear, booze, and bows, baby.
All things considered, that bear held special meaning to me because of the details and how we stalked it and did everything according to what we had planned prior to making the harvest. To share that experience with a good friend, a trusted partner, makes these events more rewarding and brings memories to me that will last me a lifetime.
Man, that was a textbook stalk. We did an excellent job, and
We're so good, he was asleep when we shot him.
that was awesome.
Yep. We're probably at about 1,400 feet right now.
We're about 4 hours from camp, so we better get busy.
That's right.
Good job.
Good job, brother. I'll go home, I'll set up camp. You go ahead and scan him and bring him home.
You can see our cuts straight down the center, running around the genitalia, down the back of each leg, all the way around the pads, so that when we strip, we'll be able to fold that back easily. Same thing with the front legs, around each pad, all the way on the side so that the taxidermist can hide your cuts. Center line, up the chest, right below the cheek there. Leaving yourself a couple of inches there so that taxidermist again can make that look very realistic once he's complete. Now we're ready to start the skinning process. When you start your skinning process, remember to take your time, pull the hide out so that it starts to separate, and you see these fine connective tissues here. That's the line that you want to separate. Just use your knife blade. Slowly, with a good angle away from your hide toward the meat, you're able to split that connective tissue apart, and you have less fleshing to do in camp. That way you require less salt. Remember, pull up and out. And when you're cutting, gently, you're not putting a lot of force on your knife blade. Let the sharp blade do all the work. Leave all that connective tissue on the bear. In all honesty, bear hunting has never been my thing, so I haven't quite gained the skills necessary to teach field taxidermy. So to help my company deliver a sound resource for trophy hunters, I turned to my taxidermy mentor for help.
Well, as a taxidermist and a hunter, I feel it's important that I pass on my knowledge about game care as it pertains to taxidermy to other hunters. I think it's a fact that today's hunter does not necessarily enter a field situation with the skills and the background that maybe our predecessors needed to know. I mean, they were more self-reliant because they had to be. They didn't have the technology we have today, the ability to get out of an area quick and get their animal into a taxidermist, so they had to know how to take care of it. It was just a given that before they went to the field, they knew how to do it. But I think today's hunter does not put as much emphasis on that as they should when they want to get an animal mounted. And I think the most important thing you need to remember is from the time you enter the field, you get in there, and from the time you take that animal and you drop it off with the taxidermist, what you do with that animal is just as important as what we do with it once we have it in our shop. You provide us with a medium, but the work that we put out at the other end is only as good as the medium you give us to begin with, and that's my bottom line.
That inflatable pillow is going to be fire starter before this trip's over.
You know, partners hunt together for a list of different reasons. Some maybe because they work well together, others because of convenience. Heck, some hunters choose a partner because they look up to that person for guidance, perhaps all of the above. But that's not what I found in Mark. He's the kind of guy that has taken his share of trophies, and now he hunts because he loves the sport and ain't afraid to work his ass off for a good time. And what's more, he's one of the most ethical sportsmen I've had the pleasure of hunting with. Teams like ours make ethical choices and collect great memories. So whether we're after brown bear, caribou, moose, or whatever, I sleep well at night knowing that he'll make good choices when taking an animal's life, and for me that's important. And I know that his trophies mean as much to his conscience as they do to his ego. And I feel the same way about my trophies. So when we end the life of an animal, you could bet our standards of care are a high priority. Anything less ain't good enough. Coming at it like you're gonna go in and get dirty. Yeah. Well, Mark is working on his bear hide, fleshing it out and getting ready to salt it. It'll probably take him the better part of 3 or 4 hours. Meanwhile, we're gonna go explore that den possible den that I spotted last night, just to see what other evidence we can come up with. Today, it's my time to explore some of this high country, just to refamiliarize myself with it. But my body's not fully recuperated from yesterday's hike, so it's a little slow going. I'm not a very good bear hunter, because I'm not a good judge of bear size, but I am very interested in what animal behavior keeps our success rates consistent. And so far, I've only got parts of the puzzle, and I'd like to put more of the pieces together, hopefully to better understand these bear and maybe in the future become a little bit better bear hunter. My first brown bear, and I'm very, very excited about it. Anyway, let's go check out that bear den and see what neat stuff we can find in there. So personally, I believe partner selection plays a vital role in the final outcome of a guy's trophy. Because if he ain't into doing what's right, you might falter. And then you end up with half-ass field taxidermy and a jacked-up wall mount. This is where that bear was sleeping. What do we see here? Impact shot. What is that? Would that be? How cool was that, Mark? How's your bullet, man? Went right through him and sat right there on the ground. That is so sweet. Look at the hair still on it. That is crazy. It's amazing. Hunting science, huh? Well, it's definitely a neat cave. Looks like a den that was used probably in the last year or so. And it wouldn't surprise me one bit if it was this Mark's animal's den. What a neat natural setting to find the reasons why bear exist where they exist, and how hunters can locate those bad boys in the event that that sort of trophy animal becomes a priority. It's an interesting aspect of this animal's life. I don't think I'd want to hole up in a den or a cave all winter long for 7 months, 8 months. Emerge just to feed, gorge myself in preparation for another cold, hard winter. It's an interesting way to live. Very interesting. It's still great to know that you can study an animal's behavior and get closer to it and take advantage of it. It's what makes us predators, I guess. I think it's time that I can start focusing on another species, which is, for me, caribou. I can't wait. And then we're gonna go hit those rainbows down lower. Mark's gonna get excited about getting those big ones on his line.
On a life size or half life size, you need to save your pad. Most hunters, once they get the hide off the animal, they've got the head still in, they've got the paws still in and the tail. You're not done, but at least you've got it to a point where it's easy to work with. Now where you go from here is sort of, again, personal preference. However, you should consider certain environmental factors. I'm often asked, how much time does the hunter have to get to the various processes of field care, like removing a skull, for example, from a bear once you've gotten the hide off the animal. You still got the skull in there, you still got the feet in there. How much time do you have? It's totally dependent on the environmental factors. If it's raining, if it's extremely warm, if you can't get the animal out of the sun for whatever reason, those are the factors that determine how fast you have to work. And some people will actually skin all the way around the hairline here and here and flap it open like a book. That's okay, but the preferred method is to go right down the center of the pad and open it up like so. And the reason for that is on the forms we use, when these are attached, when we attach these like to a base, there's metal rods that come out of the form and they come right out the center of the foot. So even if you go around it, we normally have to re-sew that and then cut up the middle of the pad to accommodate that rod that comes out. So if you're going to save your pads, go right up the center of the foot, open it up, and then you're going to have to skin the fat off of that. The only difference here is it's just a little bit harder to get around these pads, but not much. It just takes you a little bit longer. But for your life size, half life size, or anything where the pad's required, that's the preferred method. On our rugs, we go ahead and remove the pad. And the way to do that, again, I like to use a scalpel. What you're going to do is you're going to pull up on the hide right where it joins the pad. And believe it or not, this is skin here. He just doesn't have hair there. But we're going to skin all the way around that hairline. If you're doing a life-size mount, or if you're doing a half life-size mount where the pads are going to show, then you're going to have to leave that pad on there and skin the foot out. It's a little bit more difficult because you have to reach around and inside the pad, plus you have to flesh the pad out. But it just takes you a little longer. It's not really hard. As long as you stay right at the hairline, it's not too difficult to cut through. Just grab those hairs and pull back. I'm just going to follow that hairline right down through there. You got the front of the foot done. This bear's got really long hair here, so pull that out of the way so you're not cutting away hair. And I was actually using this blade on the head of this bear, but before I put on a new scalpel and dull this blade immediately, I'm going to go ahead and at least take the pad off, and then I'll probably switch to a new blade to do the rest of it. So I'm going to reach up on that and just lay my blade flat, almost like you're filleting a fish here, and just cut right down through that. And these are the toe bones here, the foot bones. In fact, if you left this pad on here, it would tend to close the foot up and make it hard to get a nice appearance on the paws. Normally on our rugs we like to at least slightly spread the toes, and if you leave the pad on, prevent that from happening. And you can see how thick and fatty that is. If you're doing a life-size mount and you're leaving the pads intact, you're going to have to take all that fat off of there, just flush it right off. But now we've opened up everything substantially. At this point, pull the skin back. You want to skin down the underside of the toes. If weather conditions allow, some hunters prefer to skin the hide completely off the foot bones while they're at the kill site. In fact, Mark Wade has a great technique to share.
The very last flexor tendon comes to this last joint. Skin it all the way back, following those flexor tendons. And then go to where it inserts on at that joint. Pop it off. By releasing those flexor tendons in the palm of the hand, it allows you to hyperextend to release the joint so that you can get the joint to expose itself. And then once you've seen the joints, then all you have to do is cut the little collateral ligaments around both sides. You've got one on the left side and the right side on both joints. Cut those, and you can really book it open and then relieve the soft tissue around the entire joint.
These cut pretty easily. One toe, the next one's going to be up a little higher. Okay, so that's out of the way. It's less weight to mess with. Now, you don't want to cut through the hide on the other side, but you want to just come up here and separate. On your bears, they also have this pad back here, only on the front legs. And the side where that pad is on, that toe is the hardest one to get out. I always carry, even on a long distance backpack hunt, I carry a Leatherman or some kind of multi-tool, but I can use those pliers to finish getting the feet out. That hole is telling you that there's a kind of a gap between a joint, and in this particular toe, that is his last joint. So once you find that, get down in there with the tip of your blade and just cut around and twist with the plier, because there's a bunch of tendons connecting everything here. Look down in there, and we can see we're down to that last joint on all these toes. There's a few ends of the tendons here. You don't need to worry about those at all. This is nice and fleshed out well enough. It's going to take the salt great. Stick your fingers in here, spread those out. Kind of gives you a feel. I mean, it lets you know that you're at that last joint. You can check real good. The only other thing you have to do, and this is only on the front foot, front leg. Remember, we have that one pad. It's almost like the equivalent of the heel, just about the shape of a golf ball on this grizz. And look how, when you cut through that, that's all flesh and fat. Pretty easy to skin out, but all you got to do is come around that circular edge. And I like to put my hand underneath and pull back with my thumb, because you can feel when you're down to the skin. Yep, just a big gob of fat in there. And here it is, all fleshed out. And the back feet are the same, they're just a little different shape. But they're no more difficult than the front feet, that's for sure.
I guess the reason why nature holds my attention to such degree is because there are so many challenges and just as many surprises. Whether it's that monster fish or old moss horn, the payoff seems to always deliver. And people can say what they may about hunting being a cruel sport, but those folks obviously haven't experienced nature in its true form. This young caribou paid the ultimate price for the cycle of life. It's a continual process of new beginnings and desperate endings. And to experience nature on this level makes a man appreciate every breath and every step along the way. little dog. Building myself a little fire. Tonight we're having coconut shrimp with some fresh rice noodles, a little soy sauce and wasabi. Perfect for a little lunchtime snack. Bake this over a fire for about 30 minutes and we're going to have us a great fish. Get this fire going. Bit of butter, salt and pepper, maybe a little garlic salt, and it's going to be good. Taste tester.
It's terrible, you don't want to eat
I
it.
hear that.
This is the outer lip, and then the inner lip joins the skull just above the teeth, so I like to cut it. I like to leave as much on there as I can. And you can see that there's hard bone there, so I'm just breaking that free right there. And just pulling up on the lip as I get back in there a little ways. And then once you get it started, you need to come up and save the nose too. So you pull back, and you're just going to cut right through that cartilage. Make sure you're back into the nose real far. But you're gonna have to cut right through that. Just kind of follow the skull up here. Now, I'm almost all the way through. When I get through, on the other side, what you have is hide, so you want to slow down as you start getting through to the other side. I shot a wolf a few years back, and it was nice and cool. We got snow a couple of nights, and I think it was like 4 or 5 days before I actually even pulled the skull out. And it was fine, but it was nice and cool. On the other extreme, I've had people go up and shoot a bear on a bait on a Friday evening, bring it to me Saturday at noon, and already here is slipping. Why? It was not cooled down properly and they lost the hide. So how much time you have is dependent on environmental factors and how well you take care of the hide. One thing on some of your older bears, and this one's a great example, is as they age, they get a bit of a shelf here where the cartilage just drops off. And if you look at pictures of bears, you'll see that's real noticeable on some of your bigger bears. Now, if we kind of look at what we've done so far, we got all the lip there. You can see from the edge of the lip down, that's 1.5 inches, almost 2 inches of inner lip there. Plenty to work with. I'll actually trim that off when I get it back from the tannery. But I want to start off with as much as I can. And same with the nose. I went way back into the nose, so you know, even from this view, you're going to see that there's no cuts in the nose skin. It goes way back, and I'll trim that up here a little later on too. You want to pay attention that you don't go through the eye. From the show side, I can see right now I'm about a 1/2 inch from the inside corner of the eyes. And I'll go virtually right up to it. But all animals, regardless of whether they have tear ducts, on the front corner of the eye, the skin and the bone are right together. You always have to get really close to the bone, even if they don't have tear ducts. Right where the lip comes past this lower canine, underneath here, it's really tight. But again, here's the skin. It's soft until it hits bone there. All you're gonna do is pull away. Get as much of it as you can. You're pulling and cutting at the same time. Sometimes I'll turn the blade around and go the other way as I cut. A lot of other taxidermists, they'll do everything from the backside. There is no set way to do it. It's just a matter of personal preference. And just continue to skin that lower jaw. And I leave a fair amount of flesh on here at this point. I'd rather trim that off with a razor blade or the scalpel a little bit later on. But I found that when people are first starting out, it really helps to make sure they get everything they need by coming from the front first. See how it's all fleshy here, and as we get further back, you get back to skin where there is no flesh. So again, anytime you start seeing flesh, make sure you're hugging the bone. If you cut through your hide while you're doing this, don't panic. It's going to happen from time to time. Don't worry about it. Just try to correct yourself as you go along. Even people experienced with knives are going to do it from time to time. Okay, we've got the upper lip, lower lip, and then you got this back corner here, which I got plenty. From that inside corner, which is where the hairs come together there and form a cowlick, that's the inner corner of the lip. So I'm going to cut through that lip skin towards the other side, which we know is hide. So you don't want to get crazy with this. Okay, so I've got that side done. I'll do the same on this. Okay, I went to the inside corner here and just skin down through that fleshy meat there towards the skin. Pull that back maybe a little further. Cut through that. Again, I'm right there at the eye, so I'm going to hug that bone. What I've done is I got all my lip, got all my nose, and at that point I like to then come from the back side.
Along the way, we spotted a few really nice bear. And on day 5, I passed on a huge blonde grizz just up the hill. Mark and I have practiced selective harvest strategies before, so this bear would live to see another sunrise. My goal was to fill the freezer. We finally got to a suitable camp bar on, I guess this is day 5, where this trip has been interesting because the huge high pressure system moved in and really brought in some warm weather for early September, even for this area. We've had temperatures, probably in the 70-75 degree range, and hardly any clouds whatsoever, so we're getting lots of sun. And seems like the environment is about the most challenging part of this trip so far. And
there he is. Get like that little hood ornament he's got under his hat? I like that too. We're going down a very dangerous part of the river now. It's about 4 feet wide. We're bear hunting. Whoa! Danger!
Danger!
Stranger danger!
How did your hair look in that shot?
Well, I had to comb it.
Ready?
I was born ready.
Still got a few more days left.
Down the river now. At the class 1 rapid. Very easy. Slow, easy to do.
So it's time to get some grub. Tired. After 10 a.m., day 6, and we're still bundled up and in our layers to keep warm. It's a good stiff cold breeze this morning. So what we're going to try to do is float down a little bit and hopefully see some waterfalls that are just below us here. So our goal today is to target some rainbows and look for a secondary opportunity for caribou if it presents. Otherwise, we'll make our way slowly toward the takeout, which right now is scheduled for 3 days from now. We might very well be able to get picked up a day early, and we're going to call the pilot today at some point so that we can prepare ourselves for a flight back on home.
A lot of times you'll sever it off, you'll sever the neck off right where it joins the skull, and that's always real close to the ears, and you want to make sure you've got all the ears. So from time to time you're going to pull your hide right side out and just double check where you are. This is the bear's top of his head, his left ear. And you might think that ear canal just goes right down into the head there, but instead it follows the side of the head down and connects low on the skull, just about halfway down. So you want to cut that ear off close to where it joins the skull, so sort of pay attention to that as you begin working on the back side. And the hide is real thick here too. The base of the ear was already slightly exposed, so you got to be careful going into this, and you can tell that by reaching in from the outside. I got the ear under here with my right hand, and I'm sticking my finger right down in that ear canal. It comes way down here in the head. Well, it's surrounded by a lot of fat and other meaty soft material, so I'm going to skin some of that away. And what I can do there is show you just how far down that canal goes. Okay, right here where I'm pinching my fingers, this finger's hitting bone, the skull, and this is the ear canal entering that skull. Okay. This is the top of the skull. Bottom, you can see it goes all the way around. That ear connects halfway down in. And that's most of your animals. It goes down there further than what you think. Okay, since my ear canal comes down here and I know where it joins the skull at that point, I'm just going to take my blade. You have to cut right through that. Just like so. To make sure you get all the ear. Then you just follow that around, you pull up on that. That's just fatty tissue right there. I got to go back to my skin line over here. I'm pinching that canal, just getting a feel for it. There's quite a bit of meat on there. I'm gonna trim off. The canal's down in here still, just a little bit further. More fatty tissue. Get out of the way. Right down in here is where it's going to join. There at the skull. Get through that other side, pull up on it, and pull the hide away. Once you get the ears, all you got left is the eyes. We got the ears here, okay, disconnected. But before I can really pull this around, I need to come to the underside. Okay. And you can see this is where the skinning stopped before the head was removed. So I'm just going to start a line here. This flesh here is really different. It's stringy. Give you a reference as to where we are. We got the top of the skull here, and I'm working by the left ear along the side of the face. Keep in mind as I go along, as you go along, you're going to be approaching your eye. If at any time you're in doubt as to where the eye is, put your finger right on the eye, pull it back, and you can tell how far away you are. I'm still 1.5 inches or so away. Gets a little easier to skin as you move forward. Okay, I'm coming up on the eye. You get up towards the eyes, and you're going to have to slow down a little bit to make sure you get plenty of inner eyelid. This little red muscle that you see here and here is the brow just above the eyes. But you know you're getting real close when you get to that little muscle there. And the tissue that remains there is attached to the inside orbit of the eye socket. I've skinned up pretty much as far as I can around it. I need plenty of eyelid as a taxidermist to tuck this between the glass and the form. So I want to grab a lot of inner eyelid. As I work my way over the orbit of the skull, you can feel this. It's a big circle, it's a big ridge, and then it gets soft. As I do this, I'm not just cutting forward like so, and I'm actually sort of cutting down into that eye orbit. What I do is I get down in there, I make sure I have a lot of that inner eye, and then you have to reach down in there, pull that up, that tube up, and cut through it. They have a little gland here. You'll see a hole when you get there. It's a little gland that's really close to the bone, so just hug that. But don't be alarmed when you see that little hole. Just keep pulling up on that. Okay, there's the front of the orbit. And we got that eye. It looks like I got a hole here. Not at all. This is where I skinned up to from the other side. Remember when I came from the front, I skinned right up to the eye. Well, I'm back at my starting point here. Okay, with the eye done on that side, I'll go back and finish skinning this side of the face. I already cut through the inner lip on the corner when I came from the front, so all I have to do is sort of pull up on this to see, sort of see where that cut is there. The corner of the lip where it shows on the outside, just over here, the hairline, and then the inner lips. Feel the bone. So pull hard with your left. I'm pulling hard with my left hand here as I go along. Work my way up to the edge of that orbit. It goes back in there. And I keep pulling and pulling and pulling, and you can see eyelid just keeps coming out as I work. And I'm sort of cutting back into it at this point. There's the eyeball. I've had people bring in their animals with the eyeball still intact. That's okay, I can cut that off later. Better to have too much than not enough. But as you go to the front, there's a tendency to want to angle up too high. Make sure that you grab this and still reach down in there. Pull that up, ensuring you have plenty of inner eyelid. Okay, reach up on my inner lip just to disconnect.
You just want to remove the meat just basically like you did the hide and the rest of the animal. So you've got all this tissue here. You've probably got 4 or 5 pounds worth of meat that you've got to remove to get it ready before it can be boiled.
Okay, there's your skull. This is what it looks like on the inside, but you have all your nose, plenty of inner lip skin. This is the top of the front lip. Follow that around. We've got all that on the lower jaw. Now remember, your lip skin on the lower jaw is going to be a little thinner. There's just less of it there. But all the way around, plenty of lip skin. And I'll turn those lips out in a bit. These just look like 2 blobs of fat at this point, but I've got plenty of inner eyelid. And I took my earbuds off right where they join the skull.
So we've called our pilot to let him know that we've made it to the takeout, and now it's just a waiting game until he can arrive to extract us off the grapple bar. So meanwhile, we'll try to get camp set up and do a little post-field care for Mark's bear hide until we can get it out of here and get it to the taxidermy. Got us a note.
There it says, Wade will pick you up later tonight. Not me, the pilot Wade. I ain't picking up Larry. Let's make that perfectly clear on this videotape.
That's a man with rejuvenated spirits right there. Since bad weather was closing in, I'd all but given up hope for a chance to shoot a caribou on this trip. As of review, we've spent 6 days on this badass river hunting for brown bear, potentially caribou, and had a great time fishing. And we saw some beautiful country.
We got a bad storm blowing in. We got some weather. You can see that weather system coming in. It's already raining there. So we're going to head and put the tent up. Everything's ready. We've got everything battened down.
Boy, nature sure has a sick sense of humor.
Whatever happens, happens.
We're caught in a hailstorm waiting on the pilot. May not get out today. Woo!
Thank goodness we have a nice dry tent to keep us warm.
Woohoo! And good food on the mix.
Yeah. Woo! That sounds terrible. That's why I'm cooking both of these for me.
Inside out, there's the eyelid that shows on the mount, and what I'm going to pull up through here is that inner eyelid tube. Okay, see, that goes all the way around there, and I'm going to trim this off a little bit, but I'm going to use that to tuck between the glass and the form itself, and there's no cuts in that whatsoever, so I got great material to work with there. Got all my nose, and I got all my lip. It really looks pretty. If you did the job right, you got a really pretty looking cape at this point. Don't forget you got a tailbone to pull, albeit a rather small one on a bear, but you want the salt, when you salt this to set the hair, you want to have that bone out so that the salt gets into each hair follicle. So skin down to the base of the tail, and then the skin is pretty thin here, I should point out, but just start skinning around the tailbone. You can use pliers if that helps you out a little bit. Skinning all the way around it. A lot of times when you get near the end, you can actually just pull it on out, just like so. When I go back and salt this, it'll lock all that hair in. There are a lot of things that you as a hunter can do to influence the positive outcome of your mount. I had a hunter here recently who shot a bear on Kodiak. 2 weeks before he went out, he was over at my shop. I explained to him where I wanted the cuts for the type of mount he desired, and when he brought that into me, everything was just ready to go. And it's going to make for a better mount for him, and it helps me out too during the actual mounting process. So learn as much as you can from your taxidermist. To avoid covering redundant steps with skinning and caping big game animals, I'll demonstrate the entire process on 2 animals with unique anatomy.